Hey guys, how's it going? In this video, we're going to be doing a comparison between the Insta360 GO S and the Insta360 X4. These are two new cameras from Insta360, probably their flagship products, which were released fairly close to each other this year. We're going to be taking a look at the differences between these cameras, which one can shoot better quality video, what kinds of shots can you get with these cameras, because they are different categories. They don't really occupy the same category, but essentially they are both meant for action shots or for slightly unique shots, definitely. So we're going to be taking a look at plenty of footage shot with both of these cameras, some side by side to check the quality, and some kind of trick shots to see what the kind of unique shots these cameras can get. So let's get into it. Now these cameras are obviously meant for slightly different purposes. The X4, a 360 camera with these two lenses either side, much larger, heavier, featuring a much larger screen. But with this comes probably more ability. There's definitely more video modes. You can shoot 360 video in 8K and normal flat video in 4K. The 360 element allowing you to reframe your video, create perfectly stabilized video, and many other unique shots that just aren't possible with other kinds of cameras. Now the GO 3, also pretty unique on its own, comes attached to this housing and pops out like this. The GO 3 itself being a very tiny camera, magnetic at the back, so can attach to not only various accessories that you get in the box, but pretty much anything magnetic on the street, in your house, which allows you to get really unique perspectives. The housing it comes in allows you to control the camera. You can also shoot with the camera inside this, but on its own, this is one of the smallest cameras in the world, and it can shoot 4K at 30 frames per second, which is pretty impressive for such a tiny camera. Looking at just the side-by-side shots, I did plenty of comparisons with the different kinds of video modes you can get with these cameras. Firstly, looking at the X4 shooting in 8K, but then reframing, so that's kind of zooming in onto a specific point, which is what we use this 8K 360 video for, and shooting at the max resolution 4K with the GO 3S. But just looking at side-by-side shots, I would say the GO 3S has slightly better quality video just looking side by side. Even though the X4 can shoot 8K, the reframe video is zoomed in, so we lose a lot of quality when we get the final product. However, the best thing about the X4 is the fact that you can reframe and basically choose where the view is at any point. You never miss any action, no matter what you're shooting. The color in the video of the GO 3S actually looks a little bit better, I would say, than the X4. Now, neither of these cameras are going to win any awards when it comes to sharpness and quality. They are mostly designed for more unique kinds of shots, and we'll go into that later. But just in terms of pure video quality, this is the best setting for both cameras, and neither are going to blow you away. But I think they do a pretty good job, considering that the GO 3S is tiny and the X4 has two lenses. You can decide which looks better to you. Now, switching to using the single lens with the X4 versus the GO 3 once again in 4K. Now, this is where it gets a bit more interesting. I don't really use the single lens, to be honest, of the X4. If I want to shoot that kind of video, I just use my phone. But in case you wanted to, in case this is something you might use, then we can have a look here. And once again, it's quite hard to tell. I think for me, the X4 looking a little bit more realistic in terms of colors and the difference between light and dark areas, but the GO 3S maybe a little bit sharper. And once again, we have some distortion depending on how you use these cameras. I'll go into the different kinds of viewing modes, but depending on what one you use will heavily affect the video quality as well. Most of the time with these cameras, you're probably going to be moving. They're both action orientated. They both have excellent stabilization technology, and I use both of these cameras. I took them both cycling. That is how generally I test out stabilization. So let's have a look and see how that went. In every test that I did, I found the X4 to be a much better camera for keeping your video stable in general. That is regardless of whether I use the 8K 360 mode or the single lens mode. It's just the fact that the X4 has these wide angle lenses, specifically in the 360 mode, allows it to completely stabilize your footage no matter how much you move it. Definitely using the 360 mode offers the best stabilization. Now, that's not to say that the Go 3S is awful. It is pretty good. It does have a horizon lock option, which keeps your video very stable, but it does zoom in quite a lot and affect the quality. And way easier to use, way more convenient, way less editing. Just literally attach to yourself, press go, and it's going to capture everything that basically you can see. But in terms of both quality and stabilization, I do think the X4 is a little bit better. And not to mention the other advantages of having the 360 element. We can see here using the invisible selfie stick effect. If you wanted to capture yourself, using a 360 camera is going to be way more immersive, look a lot better than using the Go 3S, because that selfie stick is going to be always visible. You can't get that invisible selfie stick effect with anything other than a 360 camera like the X4. And you can once again adjust how zoomed in and zoomed out using the reframing feature. You can lock onto a specific subject, object, you can change. There are so many more editing options. And actually, yes, let's go into the Insta360 Studio and I'm going to show you exactly what the differences in terms of your editing options are. First, looking at footage shot with the X4, and this is the 360 element, there's just a lot more options for you here. You can choose where the camera is pointing at any one time. You can change the field of view. You could be zooming in, zooming out, and this will affect the quality as well. There's more stabilization options. There's more speed options. There's just a lot more to do here. Now, the downside of that is that there is a learning curve. It will take you time to learn how to do all of this. And it's just not as easy. No matter what you shoot with the X4, it's going to take time to edit. It's going to take probably quite a lot of time if you have a lot of footage. This is not a point and shoot and ready to upload camera. You need to spend time editing or it's just not worth it. Now, looking at the Go 3S, depending on what video mode you use, I recommend you always shoot with the free frame video option, video mode. This gives you the maximum amount of options in the editing. This gives you the best stabilization and more field of view options. So looking here, basically what you can do with the Go 3S is change those field of view options, and the newest version does have a mega view, which is just a wider angle, which would be useful for POV shots, shots with a bike, shots with if you're attaching it to your hats or attaching it to your body, those kinds of shots, you're going to want to have those field of view options. So for a camera of its size to have all these options is really good. But that's pretty much all you can do, apart from change the speed if you were shooting in slow motion. You can also add some motion blur, which you can also do with the X4. So you can just see there's a lot less editing options, but a lot less to learn as well. You can pretty much shoot and go and upload with the Go 3S, which is probably why they named it that. The Go 3S can also shoot slow motion video at a higher frame rate, up to 200 frames per second, which is really, really good. I think the slow motion video is very smooth and you could get a lot of good quality footage with this mode, even though it is quite low resolution, probably going to look way better on a phone screen than on a laptop or desktop. Whereas the Insta360 is limited to 120 frames per second, but combining slow motion with 360, I think just looks amazing, and you can do so many amazing things and get very creative if you're willing to learn the editing process with the app and the desktop and the reframing, which will take you a little while. When it comes down to it, guys, trying to choose between these two cameras, if you want something that's easy to use, that you don't have to learn that much to get the kind of shots you want, then the Go 3S is the camera to get. You could use this for action shots, daily vlogging, travel shots. You can also do some very unique things like attach the camera to your pet. Because it's so small, it can they have accessories to attach the camera to a cat or a dog using a kind of collar, which sometimes works well, sometimes doesn't. I tried it here with my friend's dog and it didn't really work that well just because the fur was in the way and the stabilization. I mean, this dog was running rampant, so the stabilization couldn't really keep up. But I have seen videos where this does work. The tiny size and the magnetic feature that means it can attach anywhere means you can get some really unique shots, and certainly for point of view shots for yourself, this is going to be the camera to beat when it comes to that. It is also about $150 cheaper, so that's something to consider as well. But for creativity and for really getting unique shots and certainly I think higher quality video, then the X4 is still a much more premium camera. It certainly is more expensive, but I can see why. It just does so much more. There are so many more editing options, so many more kinds of videos you can create, and yeah, the opportunities are really endless, but it does take a while to learn all this stuff. I mean, I sell to plug my own stuff. I have a video course that teaches you how to use this camera specifically, and it's over 60 lessons long. You can learn to create so many different kinds of shots with that, but which you could also do off YouTube as well. There's plenty of tutorials, but that's the level of creativity you can get. There's literally dozens, maybe even hundreds of kinds of shots you can get with this camera, plus the absolute perfect stabilization, which no other kind of camera can match up to. So you're looking at really creativity and versatility, but with a long learning curve, or ease of use and compact size with not much of a learning curve at all. That is the difference between these two. I would say just in terms of quality, it's really a throw up. Neither of them are winning any awards for quality. It's just how you want to use them and what kind of shots you want to get. I'll go into a few other things. The battery life on the Go 3 lasts longer than the X4, but there's not that much in it, especially if you'd fully charge up the home kind of case. It can recharge 3 times over. The Go 3 is completely waterproof underwater, just as long as you are like this. The housing isn't waterproof, so you could use this underwater. You could take this fully underwater up to, I think, is it 10 meters, and it should be fine. They say that the X4 is also fully waterproof without a case, but I would not risk it because people have struggled with this camera. There is a lot of places where water can get in, and if they're not fully closed, then your camera will not work. Whereas this, the Go 3 doesn't have anywhere where the water can go. So if you wanted to shoot lots of underwater shots, then I would recommend the Go 3S. So that's it, guys. If you have any further questions, feel free to ask in the comments and I'll get back to you. I hope that's helped you decide. If you've decided between these two, if you have either of these two, also let people know in the comments. I know people definitely read them as soon as they watch this video. So yeah, that's it. But until next time, guys, there'll be more videos from the X4 coming up soon, and I'll see you next time. Bye.